All right, everyone, I am going to go over how to create a brand style guide, brand board, style board, very similar. All of them basically are a design where you kind of are a page of establishing what the brand looks like, establishing the overall aesthetics of a brand, the color, graphical elements, the typography, any imagery, but specifically the logo, and really showing what the brand looks like and again what that overall aesthetic looks like. I have here a case study I created, a case study template that I created because a lot of times in a case study, a brand report, whatever it is that you're putting together, a style guide, whatever it is that you're putting together, you're going to have a page like this or a few pages that kind of even explain some of the things in your a little bit more in depth. But overall, you're going to have a page like this that kind of showcases, again, all those different elements of the brand style, right? Their overall aesthetic, again, color palette, graphical elements. You might have imagery. You're going to have the logo most likely on this page, the logo in different forms, whether it's the main logo, a secondary, or the primary logo, secondary logo, maybe the logo in black and white, maybe the logo in full color. You're just going to show those variations because not only do you want to present the overall brand aesthetic, but you also want to say, hey, these are kind of the rules. This is how you have to use my logo. And kind of putting that all together in a really clean, organized, and structured way. So it's easier to use, easier to understand. Really great example that I created here in InDesign, but I'm going to do it again. So again, I'm in InDesign right now, and we're going to create a brand identity, a style guide, brand board, right? Again, these words, these terms can kind of be used somewhat interchangeably to really kind of create something that showcases the overall aesthetic, right? The look, the feel of a brand. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to put a title, and I'm going to put brand, style guide. And I'm gonna again, that's me just using the text tool, right? Creating my text box, typing in there. I prefer I actually, as a designer, I like to use my properties panel. That's the panel I choose to use for basically everything because it kind of just showcases or includes a lot of the tools I'm going to be using, a lot of different things I need in order to manipulate the text. So I'm gonna pick something very standard. I'm gonna pick Avenir, a very simple sans serif font so that it doesn't take away from the overall design and the things that I'm going to be showcasing on this page. I want something very clean, very easy to read, and very basic. So again, my logo can stand out, my color can stand out, and it doesn't distract. And I'm going to increase the size of this, and I'm actually going to bold it because it is a title. And I think for these reasons, I think I'm going to do all caps because it is a title, and I do want to show some sort of hierarchy. The next thing I want to do is create my logo section. So I'm literally going to, I held down, I had this selected and I held down, um, it's Alt on my laptop or on my computer. It might be control on yours, so just double check. But when you do click, hold that button down on your keyboard, you should see that your mouse turns into two different arrows. That's how you know you're going to copy it. And then you just click and drag it to where we need to go, and it creates an exact replica of whatever it is that you just created. You can also select, right? Select this, right click, copy paste file, oh, sorry, edit, copy, and then paste as well. You can do those things as well. Or you can hit Command C for copy, Command V for paste. So a lot of different ways you can copy and paste, but this is the way that I do it. Um, so this is my section, which I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to increase the size of my title a lot more just so that it really stands out, right? This is my brand style guide, brand board, style guide, whatever you want to call it. This is my section that I'm going to have my logo in. I believe do I have my logo all the way in here? Yes. So this is my logo. Another way to do this is, oops, I'm just scrolling up and down. Another way to do this is you can just hit Command D. Command D should, oops, spinny wheel. Command D should open up your, where all your files are, and then you can navigate on your desktop wherever it is that you need to go in order to find the right files. I'm just going to use this one for now. So let's say that's my logo. That's the logo that I want to include. Maybe I want to include a my brand mark as well as like a secondary logo. I'm going to do that and make the text box a little bit bigger, right? But again, I'm going to make sure that this is super organized and super consistent. Another way that you can do that is by clicking and dragging from your rulers to create some guidelines that you can follow so that everything again remains consistent. So because I put that guideline here, I'm going to select my text boxes and I'm going to move everything so that the text itself aligns directly with this guideline that I just created. And honestly, this is also how I design so that again, I have consistency across the board. I'm hitting just the W on my keyboard. The W gives me like this view where I can kind of see all like the different guidelines and things like that. And then there's like a print view of what this would look like if I were to like print it or publish it. From there, I'm going to decrease, or I'm not going to decrease. So let's say this is my logo section. Here's my full logo. Here's a secondary logo that I like to use. And now I can showcase that in that way. My next section, which again, I can also use lines in order to kind of um, create sections, right? And create columns and things like that. I'm gonna do that, and I'm just gonna keep everything black right now. I can always add color later. That's also something else I really like to do when I design. I like to add color later so that I can really focus on getting that layout down and then adding the color when I need to add color. The next thing that you're going to do when you are designing a brand style guide is you want to include the typography that you're choosing so that oops, so that whoever is using this can kind of get a good understanding of what the type of typography that they should be using. When I say typography, I mean the font. When you are designing a brand, establishing a brand aesthetic, brand style, you want to make sure things are consistent. You want to make sure that the fonts that are being used are consistent every single time they're being used. That just overall increases brand awareness and brand identity so that when viewers, right, potential customers, clients, members, whatever it is, they see this and they say, "Oh, I can recognize that font. I know what that is. I know what company it goes to." So it's really helpful in that way. Think of Disney, right? When you see that Disney, the way that you see the Disney font in, right? The minute you see that, you think, "Oh, that's Disney. Why?" I guess that must be something with Disney, right? Coca-Cola does that for their logo, right? You can't see another company using the Coca-Cola font, or you're just going to think like, is that supposed to be with Coca-Cola? What are they doing? Right? So again, typography is super important when we're establishing our brand identity because again, the viewer may be able to identify your brand based on the font that you're using. So we want to make sure that not only choosing the font really well, but then also displaying it in our style guide correctly. So again, I made another little section title um, and I just wrote typography. And then from there, and this is actually really simple, I want to show what this font is. It's actually, I believe it's Helvetica, the font that this is in. So I'm gonna select and I'm gonna hit my all caps on, and I'm literally gonna type out the alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Whole alphabet. I don't think I missed anything. So that's my alphabet. And I'm always also going to select it. I believe this actually might be Arial. This is the font. No, it's Arial. So that's the font. And the font, if you're wondering, well, what font am I using? It's the font that your logo's in. So this right here, up here where you say Keystone, that's actually in Arial. That's the font that was used. So not only am I going to show that, but I'm also going to type out the word Arial. So they know that's the font. And again, I want to show some hierarchy here, and I really want that to stand out. So I'm actually going to increase the size of it, right? And then I could leave it as that. Um, if you've used Arial, or I'm using Arial and I'm using Arial Black, so it actually type that in here as well. Increase Arial so they know not only the name of the font, but the weight you're using. Then I'm going to actually copy this again because down here it's not black, it's Arial. Gotta look it up there. Um, it's Arial. Sorry, I have to look for it. It's Arial, but it's not bold. Actually, yeah, I think it's Arial bold. And then I'm gonna write bold. And then I'm also going to select this and I'm going to change it to Arial bold. That's regular bold because I believe that one's in bold. And that's kind of how you show the typography. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to show the color scheme. I'm going to move this down a little bit more. My section's going to be pretty big because I don't have a lot on here. The next thing I'm going to showcase is the overall color scheme. Now, right now, my color scheme is just basically black and white. That's kind of the color scheme of this brand as a whole. But I know that for a fact that this brand um, also uses a specific shade of blue, which I'm gonna bring in here as well. So right now I'm just gonna be making it black because that's one of the main colors and that's okay. A lot of times when you're designing a brand, black and white, they're neutral colors, so you're gonna use them regardless if you say you're gonna use them or not. It's just kind of baked into the cake type of thing. Um, but a lot of times there are brands that specifically that is one of their main colors is using black and white. So you may want to show that as well. So something else, right? Let's say I'm gonna just make up a color. I think they use also like a blue color. So what you can do is I made my circle again. I'm just holding down, I'm selecting and then holding down. It's Alt on my keyboard. It might be Control or Command on your keyboard. But if you hold it down, I'm not clicking the mouse. I'm just holding it down on my keyboard. You notice that my cursor changed into two like triangle arrows. That's how you know you're about to copy something and basically you're about to duplicate it. And then I would just click down on my mouse and then move it to wherever I want it to go. And then I'm going to select that circle. You can do one of two ways in InDesign. You can either double click, very similar to Illustrator and, Photoshop when you want to fill, right? The top little square over here, all the way to the left. In this toolbar, if you hover over it, says fill. If you want to double click on that, it opens up this color picker. And then from there, I can start picking the color that I want. You can also do it from here under appearance. That's why I like my properties panel because it kind of has everything I need here. I can click fill. And then these are the default colors that come with it. Don't use default. They're default, right? You have access to so many different colors, so many different shades and hues. Have fun with that and use something that, kind of helps your brand to stand out in a lot of ways. So that's what I'm gonna do here. And I'm gonna select this like greenish blue. It's very close to their brand color. Something to note is you're going to, when it comes to putting the color scheme in, right, to that color palette, you want to include a lot of this information. And I actually say make it easy for yourself. Just include the hex code. So down here is the hex code. You can type it in Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign. You can type it in or you can, if they're using it online, they can also type in. So I think that hex code is the more important. Hexadecimal is actually what it stands for, but the hex code is the most important code to include on here. You can literally just type right in here and copy, right? Copy for later. You can write it down if you want. I'm going to write it down, include the little hashtag 008. B8B and make sure you copy it down perfectly. So the lowercase b's, they need to be lowercase. If it was capital, then they would need to be capital. But every single, like if you were to make capitalize, it could potentially change, it could alter the color as a whole. I'm gonna click OK and it's gonna fill this. I don't want to stroke on this. I just did the stroke on the white so you can see it's white. Now, I also want to now include, let me make sure I'm going to include my color. I think I spelled color palette wrong. I think there's just one L. Or one T. I think I typed it up here. Color palette. Yeah, there's one L. Right, color palette. Again, I want to make sure this is consistent. So I'm actually going to drag and drop a guideline from my ruler. And I'm gonna zoom in because I really want this to be consistent. And I'm gonna make that sit right on the top of my text. The bowls, right, the circular areas of the font, they're gonna go over it. That's okay. And then I'm holding down the space bar. When you hold down the space bar, it changes your cursor into a hand. And then that means you can click and drag without accidentally clicking on something. You can just click and drag across the board. And notice how my text box is already aligned really well. And I want that consistency, but I want this to move down a little bit too. I have my guidelines on, so it'll help me. And hit W so you can see the print overview. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add that hex code information. So I'm just going to copy that, but I'm actually going to decrease the size because I don't want it to be that noticeable. So I'm going to hashtag 008 B8. Oh, wait, lowercase B8B. Why is that? Oh, I had it in all caps. That's why. Let me get rid of that. Right? Now I can do one of two things. I'm gonna have it centered in this. I can have it directly below, right? The my color palette, my box to show the color palette. I can have it on. Arrange, bring it to front. Just remember that if you have it on top, you always want to make sure that it um contrasts really well. So I'm gonna actually change that to white so that it's easier to read. Now I don't want that because I feel like I'm gonna have to change it for the black, and I feel like for me personally, oops, sorry. For me personally, that's gonna be too distracting, I think, if I don't have that consistent throughout. So I'm just going to change it to that. And then again, oh, and this is just to know if it's going to be all white, it's 6 Fs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the hex code for white. And for black, it's 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's black. Um, I don't know anything special. I've just been doing this for so long that that information is now burned into my brain forever. Um, I just know it. But now I have not just the color palette. Not only am I showing the color palette to my viewer, but I'm also telling them what it is by including that hex code in there, and all designers will know what that is. So I have my logo, I have my typography, I have my color palette. The next thing I might want to show, which this is going to be slightly different because the next thing I might want to show some imagery that reflects my design. So I'm going to hit Command D. You can also go to, which is place. You can also go to File, where is it? File, Place, or Command D, and then notice that when you need to click something up here from this top navigation area, notice that you'll see what the shortcut is on your keyboard, and for here it's Command D. So I'm going to hit Command D on my keyboard, and I already saved a photo in here. This is a photo that I want to use that is consistent with the type of photos that you'll see on my site or with my brand, I should say. I can include more. I can include a couple if I wanted, right? If I wanted to include 2 or 3, whatever it is that you want to include, you're definitely more than welcome to include that so that it's consistent throughout. Not only do I want to include these pictures here to it does 2 things. It shows again that brand aesthetic. These are the type of imagery I'm going to be using. You'd have 3 different ones, right? You'd have 3 different images here. Oh, this is a church logo, that's why. But it shows 3 different imagery, right? That connects to your brand. So they need to have something to do with it, whether it's your own photos that you took of the brand, or if you need to go and find photos that represent the brand really well, you can do that. Two. I took these photos. That's why I'm allowed to just use them as well. But these would, photos like this would definitely highlight not just the look and feel of the brand itself of this organization, but it also give the viewer an idea of, again, the aesthetic that this brand is trying to go for and looks for when it chooses imagery or any other graphical elements. The other thing that you can do too is use this. I'm actually going to, hold on. I'm gonna navigate so I can get a different, trying to remember where I put it. So I get the white version of this logo. Here we go. Oh, no, that one, this one. Well, I could put both in there, but I'll just do this one for now. Yeah. So resume. All right. So I file place and I navigated to where this file is and I got the white version of my logo. This is also another version that I can also include in my logo section as well. I have these all in black and white in different colors. But I can also show my viewer how I intend to use this, whether it's, putting it up here really small, right? I can give them an idea of how I might use this going forward, right? But overall, I can give them different versions of the logo on how I might use it. So this could be super beneficial in two ways. One, the overall image can just show how you want to use or the type of imagery you want to associate with your logo. And you don't have to do anything to them. You just show the image. Or you can use a section on not just showing the type of imagery, but how the logo should be used on that on this imagery. And again, I'm using the same photo, but you would use different photos. So essentially, I would use three different photos for this section, but I'm not. I'm just gonna use the same photo for this. So this is essentially how you would do this. Now, once I've laid it all out, like I said before, I'm gonna want to add color to this. I don't want to overdo it with color because I really want my viewer to be able to add swatches. That way I can add down here. I really want my viewer to see this and get the information I'm trying to communicate with them, not necessarily really like sell them on, or really get them to buy into the design, right? I'm not necessarily trying to convince them of the design. I'm trying to communicate information. Hey, this is how you use the logo. This is the overall aesthetic, right? And brand identity for this brand. So I want to keep everything fairly basic. I just want to make sure that the right things are being highlighted. So I'm actually going to add color to each of these section areas, right? That way the black kind of pops more and they can read better what this is all about. And that's really it. You can add a lot of other graphical elements as well. On this one, I added, this is a really great example because this section is kind of where those logos would go, maybe your typography as well. I also added graphical elements. So for instance, if this is for a website, you can add what your buttons would look like, what your icon, social media icons would look like. Again, you're going to include that color palette, maybe some imagery. If that's not what you're doing, if you're doing more just like a brand style guide, then again, you can um, just have these basic, logo, secondary logo, um, type of designs here. I'm actually going to include this one over here. Arrange, bring to front. And now I can kind of show two different logo styles as well. And now your viewer can get a good understanding of the overall aesthetic, right? Really blocky lettering, the color scheme, very basic. It's basic black and white with some pops of color, right? The type of imagery that's going to be used, right? You're overall just setting the vibe, right? You're setting the vibe, you're setting the overall aesthetic for this brand. And now anybody that looks at this, they'll be able to get that sense of how it's all supposed to look and how it's all supposed to work together. They're also getting some really important information if they need to design anything. So let's say you created the brand style guide because you created the logo, right? Now, if let's say you get another designer on your team, they need to know the color palette, how to use the logo, what the logo is supposed to look like, the type of, they need that information in order to design stuff, right? Then now you can say, oh, here's the brand style guide. Now the person on your team, they know the exact color that they need to use because the color palette has been determined, right? And this is set in stone type of thing. They know exactly the way the main logo is supposed to look like, exactly the way the secondary logo is supposed to look like. They know the typography they're supposed to use. They know the type of imagery they're supposed to use, right? And they can overall get the right vibe, the right aesthetic to kind of carry forth in all those other designs they may make for you or on your team. So this is really important in that regard. And then you now you want to like save this. So a lot of times you want to package your design. And the reason why I want to package is because not everyone will have access to all the things that you put in there. They won't have access to your font, they won't have access to your imagery or any of your graphical elements, right? So if I were to share this again, we're no, we're thinking, let's say we're working a team, right? Let's say you're the lead designer, but you got junior designers below you, or you have just other designers, they're on the same level, but other designers that are going to be taking care of some other things on your team. You need to be able to share this with them so that they have access to everything so that they can use all the same things and also see this super clearly, right? And the way that you do that, and InDesign specifically, is you're going to package your design. So after you've just already saved, you're going to hit package. Now, once you hit package, this gives you kind of a summary of everything that's going to be included in that package. Definitely look out to see if anything's missing, incomplete, right? Down below here, you'll see this says no errors and it's in green. That's good. If there are errors and if it was red, those are things that you need to fix before you package. So keep that in mind. But after that, I'm going to hit package and then I'm going to navigate somewhere on my desktop and say, hey, this is where I want it to package. I want to copy all the fonts. I'll copy all the linked graphics. I'm going to update link graphics in my package just in case I have to change them. I want to include the IDML and I want to include PDF. I want those all included. And what's really nice is, um, uh, what example? Right? That's what the folder is going to be called. So when I hit package, it's going to copy all this information and put it into folders for me to make it super easy. So after that, I'm gonna hit package. It's gonna say if you have like the rights to use the stuff. I do. I'm gonna say don't show again, and I'm gonna hit OK. Now it's gonna go and package my design, and it's done. You see that it had like one little load screen, then it was done. I'm gonna go to desktop. Here is my folder that I just made. And notice that it nicely placed everything in here. It placed not just my InDesign file, my IDML file, and um, my PDF. Also, it put all of the fonts that I used in this. It put it all really nicely in this folder, and all of the graphical elements, right, that I used, whether it was an InDesign file or an image. It put all of that into a folder. This is what I would share. This brand style guide example folder, this is what I would share out. And the way that I would share it is by compressing it. Right click compress. It'll create a zip file. This is the file that I can now send to people, or in our case, upload, right? Upload and submit this as an assignment. And that's what you would upload and submit. What's nice too is that if I hit, well, again, like I said, this is a bigger, larger project that I was working on. But if I scroll down, um, you'll see that it has that page that we designed together for the brand style guide. That this can also be something that you include. You can also hit Command Save, Command E, which is export. You can choose the type of file you want to export. Let's say I want to export the PDF by itself. I'm going to rename that PDF. Brand style guide. I'm going to put example so that I get confused about what this is. I'm going to hit save, and this little page is going to pop up. I just want to do page 4. That's the only page. This is page 4. You can see down here, the number 4. That's what page I'm on. I only want that page, and I'm going to hit export. And then I'm going to go back into that folder because, oh, hold on, it's still doing it. Oops. It saved it where I was before. Did it save it here? No. I know exactly where to save. Desktop, desktop, roll down case study. Here he goes. And this is where it saved it. That's why it's important to know where you save things. And now I have my PDF, just my one PDF page of the thing that we designed together. But know that when you do package it, it's going to package the whole entire design. And that whole entire design, which includes, again, all the fonts, all the imagery, graphical elements, all that, the a PDF, the InDesign file that you worked in, and an IDML file, which is important if they're using an older version of InDesign. It's going to put all of that in one nice folder that you can compress and then um, submit or send, right, to whoever it is that you need to send it to. And that's it. That's how you do it.